Awesome.
Fall back.
All right. I want to say thank you all for returning for my podcast number 2. We're here. Most of the time I just wing this, so I don't really do too much editing because I don't have time, and I figure it just adds to everything.
Yeah.
So, but today we brought out Larry Barnhill from Heritage Federal. You are their commercial loan lender. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
So how long you
Glad to be here.
been into doing commercial loans?
So commercial lending, I've only been in it for about a year or so.
Nice.
Been in the business for a very long time, but had a little bit of experience with commercial, but primarily I was in retail as a branch manager before.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So got good experience in the business
Yep.
world of things.
Yeah, about 13 years.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I've I was telling you I owned a restaurant before, so I did that, but I'm still a little new into the real estate world of things, and I've jumped over here to Pond Kiefer Real Estate Services, and trying to get into the commercial things. So mostly with these podcasts, I try to help people out in the commercial world of things. Trying to maybe give them a piece or two knowledge that maybe they never had before.
Yeah.
Or get something done. So educational and just knowledge. I love giving knowledge.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Glad to be a part. Appreciate you inviting me out. I talked to a good friend of mine that's a business owner here locally, and coming into commercial, I asked him, what is it that you as a business owner want? What could a commercial banker or somebody in my field help you with? And one of the big things he said was education. He said, coming into business, there's just so much you have to learn, regardless of what industry you're in. So, any type of education that you can give to business owners,
Right.
especially on the financial side or real estate side,
Right.
is huge. So when you invited me out, I was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's something.
A lot of people don't understand what it is to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
To get out there and do the hustle and the grind every single day.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't trade in for the world.
Yeah.
I feel if you're an entrepreneur, you got a fire that burns in you, and that's something I don't think I've had a 9-to-5 job. I've been 18 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'd probably go in and get fired from somewhere if I was to go in and do it.
You're either an entrepreneur or you're not. In my experience dealing with business owners, that fire you're talking about.
It's
right,
like breed.
Yeah, you just like I said, you're either an entrepreneur or you're not.
Right.
And so they've got that fire, but sometimes that education is
Well, you gotta have education, and it just if you have the knowledge of stuff, the fire it kindles it.
Yeah.
And helps you because as an entrepreneur, we all make mistakes. You gotta, because God knows I've made mine in my years of owning a restaurant.
I have not. I'm perfect.
Yeah, man, nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I know. No, I got you. So yeah, and it comes with territory, and you live and you learn, and that's the whole point. With even making mistakes is learning from them and have that knowledge to be able to pass on to other people.
Yeah.
And helping people, and I had my other guy Matt that I was telling you about, and that was one of the things. He said he got into doing insurance was he wanted to help people, and reach out and help them, and help them get their goals and making sure that they're covered on things if something was to ever come up, because you never know in the insurance world. That's the whole point of having it, is that in case an accident ever comes about.
Yep.
So to
Absolutely.
do it. So well, we'll get into it, man. I got a couple things that I was just write down that that was curious with me was whenever somebody comes in and they want to apply for a commercial loan, what is the process of that? What should they have ahead of time and be ready for before they come in and sit down and talk with you?
Well, I would say that they don't necessarily need anything ahead of time. I will tell you, for me personally, a lot of times I just like to sit down with somebody and talk with them.
Okay.
Right? Something that's very big for me is just relationship as
Right.
well, and so getting to know them, what they're wanting to do, and just to answer questions and just be a resource for
Right.
them. Of course, I could say, some of the requirements that we have are, financial documents like tax returns and
Right.
personal financial statements and all that. certainly you can bring those with you if you want that for that first consultation, but typically I don't go that route. Just first, again, have a conversation and find out what they're wanting to do. And I just ask a lot about them personally. I ask a lot about that business that they're wanting to buy or wanting to open or whatever the scenario is. So
I get that, and also trying to build, because just like me and you, it's building that long-term relationship. It's getting in there because, I try to tell people, and same thing with you, I'm your partner in this business. I might not be in it day to day, but I help you find it, whatnot. And just like you'll help finance it. Help you, get your things in order that you need to do so you can grow the business. Then when the time comes, you can either expand, if you need to come out and get more capital or, do something,
Sure.
Of those lines.
Yeah. And, I don't know how specific you want me to get, but, so.
It's your show, man. You get it,
So,
you can talk about it.
Primarily there's two different types of, two different loan products, so to speak, that we look at. One is just your traditional commercial financing.
Okay.
And then the other one is an SBA loan.
Okay.
So Heritage Federal is an SBA lender.
Nice.
And so.
And that's the Small Business Association.
Yeah,
right?
Small Business Administration. Yeah. Association Administration.
Right.
Tomato. Yep. So, so each program can determine what type of documentation we need and things like things of that nature. For an SBA loan, a couple of the big advantages to an SBA is somebody that's wanting to start a business, or they're brand new. They're starting a business. Hey, I've got this dream. This is what I'm thinking about. This is what I want to do. Or they're newer business. Newer is different to each financial institution, but typically speaking, a couple years or less, you're a new business. You're a new business, right? So what does that translate to us? New or starting out brand new equals risk, right? Because similar to personal credit, we don't have anything to go off of, right? Or we have limited information to go off of, which equals risk, right? Because we don't have that track record, just like a personal credit report. So that's where the SBA and us being an SBA lender is very advantageous, because what the SBA does is gives us a guarantee on a percentage of that overall loan amount. So if it makes sense, if this dream that somebody's wanting to do and start makes sense for us, but it's still just quite a little bit too risky, that's where the SBA can partner with us and we can go ahead and proceed with that loan.
Nice.
So.
And do you handle all that paperwork for the SBA?
Yes, that's one of the beauties is, a lot of times people think SBA and they think, oh, government, oh, it's extra paperwork, it's all this red tape. Yes, there's a little bit of extra paperwork, but honestly, there's only like 2 extra documents, and they're really not that hard.
Right.
But aside from that, there's nothing extra you typically have to do. We all handle it on our end.
Okay.
And so we are the ones gathering all the information and communicating directly with the SBA.
Okay.
So really we're kind of your advocate and your go-between, so you don't have to deal with them directly at all. So, and honestly, the SBA is actually really easy to deal with as well. I will tell you, they're very prompt and easy to deal with.
Nice.
Anyways, that whole idea of dealing with the government, oh, that's terrible.
Right.
There's some truth to that, obviously, but in our instance, it's really not that way.
Nice.
So,
I remember back many years ago, I imagine probably still have it. They had an SBA office here in town that I had a mentor that would sit down and talk with me about once a month and help guide me on different things. Yeah. So it was nice to have that.
Yeah. And then the other option, I said there's kind of 2 options, and the other one is just your traditional commercial financing. I can get into some details, but essentially it's just the same as SBA financing, but the terms could be slightly different.
Okay.
But some of the advantages of that is it is a little bit of a quicker process, because we're not dealing with the SBA, we're just handling it at Heritage Federal. There's no communication with the SBA, but yeah, that's kind of the main two
Nice.
main types of loans.
So after somebody comes in and you get through everything, you sit down, you talk. What's the process after that? Like when it goes to underwriter, right? Or is it a loan committee?
Yeah.
What do you have on that?
Yeah, so have that initial conversation and ask all the questions, and then also provide some feedback to them. Sometimes, especially if it's a new individual, maybe they need a business plan. So
Right.
we'll either help them with that, or there's actually some local organizations called one of them, for example, is the ISBDC, which is the Indiana Small Business Development Center.
Okay.
They're actually so the Small Business Development Center is actually based out of Indiana, but they have local chapters. So we
Nice.
have a Southwest chapter,
Right.
obviously, located right here in Evansville, which is
Yeah.
great. And so these folks are phenomenal. They're a great resource. They're very knowledgeable, and best of all, they have the best price in town, which is great.
Zero. Yeah, you
So,
can't
because
be free.
the state of Indiana wants small businesses to pop up and flourish, right? So it's advantageous for
Absolutely.
for the Department of Revenue in Indiana to have
Well,
successful
small business is backbone of the economy.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, in Indiana, it's like 90-something% of the businesses
Are
that
small.
operate are small businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. I
It's
believe that.
ridiculous. I want to say it's like 97% or
Yeah,
something.
I believe that.
It's very large. So we can help them through that process, or help with some partners like the ISBDC and that, and gathering some documentation, like tax returns and personal financial statements. It sounds pretty daunting, but honestly, it's really not. We're very consultative, and so if somebody needs some help or doesn't understand something, we're right there, right?
Nice.
Call me, text me, email me, we'll talk through
Absolutely.
it. We'll meet again, So initial conversation, and then gather some documentation, and then to your point, yes, and that's when we kind of go to the underwriting part. So, me as a lender, that's my job, is to do the initial interview, help them, consult with them, get them to where they need to be, get all the proper documentation together. And then once I have basically that whole package there, and then that's when I submit that to underwriting or
Right.
credit review, right? And so from there, it kind of depends on the scenario. For example, if we're looking at buying a piece of equipment or maybe real estate,
Right.
we can do the cash flow analysis first to make sure everything makes sense and the numbers line up,
Right.
and then do the appraisal. Or if somebody's in a hurry and that they're confident everything's going to go through, well, hey, we can go ahead and order the appraisal right then and get that ball
That's
rolling. But basically, to sum it all up, gather documentation, getting things ordered that we need to, like appraisal, maybe title work if it's a real estate, and then doing that underwriting process. Really, the underwriting process itself doesn't take that long, honestly, unless our pipeline's super full. I can have my cash flow analysis done within a week or two.
Nice. That was going to be my next question, is
Yeah.
about what we think a timeline would be
Yeah.
for somebody to do something like that.
Yeah. Now, it depends on the loan. Now, if you're
Right.
talking about real estate, unfortunately, we are seeing a little bit of a backlog with commercial appraisals.
Right.
One thing that's a little bit different with the commercial appraisal versus a normal residential appraisal buying a home is there's a little more involved.
Absolutely.
Plus, there's actually less commercial appraisers in this area
Yeah,
versus your
right.
residential. Obviously, there's a lot more licensing and a lot more to it. So you combine, the longer process and the fewer appraisers available, that
Right.
typically makes the
Puts it-
timelines a little bit longer. And right now, past couple months, we've seen appraisals taking 4 to 6 weeks for us to get back.
That's the way it is
Yeah.
on the residential side too. It's hard to get them out
Yeah.
to do it, or even home inspections.
So sometimes, that can push it back. As I said, my process, I can get cash flow and do all my underwriting and everything within, sometimes a week or two.
Right.
But then that appraisal can kind of make it a little bit
Yeah.
longer. But really, if worst case scenario, you're talking 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
If you're talking about real estate.
Right.
And
Right.
that's a little bit longer ones. If we're talking about something like a simple equipment loan,
Yeah.
something along those lines where that appraisal isn't involved, We could have it done less than a month. I mean,
Oh, nice.
just depends. I mean, if we're not super busy and everything looks good, I mean,
Just
we've been
get it
we've
through.
been known to underwrite something, have it closed within a few days to a week.
Right.
You know,
Knock it
just
out.
kind of depends on the scenario.
Nice. Awesome. So, is there any like best things that somebody should do to build, not necessarily like prepare as in like in their documents, but like say like on a credit side of things, or if they need equity or anything like that to be able to get a commercial loan?
So, you mentioned credit. So, I've actually had a couple scenarios where a business owners come to me and they're like, "Hey, Larry, I want to do a commercial loan because I want to establish business credit."
Right.
And really, that doesn't exist, really. And what I mean by that is, so on the personal side, if you come to me and I'm just a loan officer and you're like, "Hey, Larry, I want to get an auto loan." Well, then I look at your credit, right? And your credit is very important. So building that credit history and, having good credit is important, right? And so I would say, yes, you need to build your credit and then come to me, kind of a scenario. Whereas on the business side, there is no really such thing as business credit. And what I mean by that is, while we do look at the business owner's personal credit, and that is important, strictly from the business standpoint, there's no business credit score, so to speak. You know, so when I go to do an application, I'm not like, oh well, Jason's personal credit score was this, and he owns XYZ construction company, and XYZ's construction company's credit score was this.
Right.
That doesn't exist.
Right.
So what we really look for in terms of credit is more just how long has the business been established. We look at the internal profit and loss statements, tax returns, any documentation that shows the profitability of the business.
So it's very important that if you are looking to sometimes get a loan, make sure you have your taxes filed and you have your financials, like your profit and loss statements, up to date and current.
Yeah, and so that's where a lot of times, especially if you're not as business savvy, having that accountant in your corner.
People don't understand how valuable an accountant is.
Extremely important. I can't tell you, they're worth their weight in gold.
Yes.
Because they can help you, understand the business side of whatever industry you're in. So,
right.
But as I said, your business credit is really your time in business,
right,
and the profitability of that business. Essentially, does that business have enough bottom line profits to pay whatever my loan payment is, plus have a little bit left over, right?
Some, right, absolutely.
So then what if the answer is, oh, well, I've only been in business for a year and a half? Well, then that's where sometimes the SBA could come in to play,
help
cover it. It's either a new or newer business, and if that situation happens and traditional commercial financing doesn't work, that's where we as an SBA lender could look at potentially.
So, cover that.
Minimize that risk, or I'm sorry, I should say mitigate that risk.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's your business credit, is typically how long you've been in business, and kind of what the profitability and the net margins look like.
And the key to that is have an account.
Yeah. Absolutely.
For sure. I can't preach that enough to people.
Absolutely.
I see that a lot when I go out, because I do business evaluations, and I see a lot of them that didn't have accountants, and like, what do you have a profit and loss statement? And like, a profit on what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to be able to have that. So, man, what's some advantages of having a commercial
loan? So one is the ability to grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, for example, you've had your business for a year or two, and you're about ready. You're either going to stay where you're at, continue to do what you do, or you want to grow to that next phase, but you just don't have maybe the working capital, which is your cash set aside to expand, and whatever that expansion could be. So it depends on your industry. It could be to add extra delivery trucks, or get a bigger building, or buy a building, add more equipment, add more people, right? Any of those expenses that you need to invest in to then grow that business to the next level. That's where a lot of times I will tell you we really come into play and can give that business owner the funding that they need to take that next step.
To take it off, right?
And so obviously with my loan, excuse me, there's an expenditure with that. You're going to pay a monthly payment, right? But just like with anything else, you're also going to pay extra staffing, or you're going to have extra fuel costs for those extra delivery vehicles. But the revenue that you'll generate from that extra business typically
will cover that.
Will more than cover that, and again take you to the next step. So that's one example where personally I've seen a commercial loan really comes into play, and it really helps to take that business and that business on to the next step. And personally for me, not to get all gushy, but that's where I really enjoy my job, is when I see that, man, I know that I help somebody.
I bet it makes you happy to be able to expand your business and grow, and like you say, you add the trucks, or go out and get a bigger spot that you have to move in because business is growing.
And because for Heritage Federal, a lot of times, our bread and butter really is your local business owners, right?
Absolutely.
And so me as a commercial lender, commercial banker, whatever you want to call me, I'm the go-to person. I'm the one that's dealing with that business owner, and really, getting into their business, so to speak, and getting to know them on a personal level as well. And so it's just very satisfying to know that, hey, we're making a little bit of money off this loan, right? We put some work into it, but really, the end result is pretty cool.
Well, you're helping somebody, and it ain't just that. A lot of people don't understand, that the number one employer, in the United States is small business. And if you're just not helping that person, you're helping, a handful of people by growing and hiring people and wages going up and things of that nature. Yeah, for sure. A lot of people don't understand that.
Because the folks we're helping, I'm not working with your Berry Globals or your Mead Johnsons, these big large corporations. I'm not knocking them by any means. I'm just saying that who I'm dealing with is your
mom,
Jason
your mom,
that owns a restaurant, or
your Jason owns a small local handyman workshop.
Absolutely. So I'm dealing with the business owner, the lifeblood of that
Absolutely.
Of that business. So it's really neat.
Man, is there anything that you all don't step into? I know some banks don't like to get into restaurant loans and things of that nature. Is there anything that you all don't get into?
I wouldn't say that there's not anything that in particular that we don't like. One thing that's really neat about Heritage Federal is typically we've been known more of as a retail shop. So now we're in commercial banking and commercial lending. So we really deal with everything. So I don't want to say that there's not anything that's too small for us, but really,
absolutely.
I've done a $30,000 to $50,000 commercial loan, which is very, very small.
Yeah, in the commercial world it is.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've done multi-million-dollar loans. So, of course, there's certain industries that we particularly don't participate in. When you talk about, let's say, CBD and things of that nature.
Absolutely.
On a federal level, it's not approved, and also it's not really. There's some gray area in the state of Indiana as well, so we just have chosen to kind of go the same route for right now.
Absolutely.
But those are kind of the exceptions to the rule.
Okay. All right. Man, that's really all of my questions. Do you have anything that you think anybody should know or want to add?
No, I would just say, for me personally, we talked a few examples of lending options. For me, appreciate again the invite. I'm just trying to network with business owners and get to know folks in the area. So even if somebody doesn't have the lending needs right now, I definitely try to take a consultative approach. So, I'd love for anybody just to reach out to me and just talk with me. So, again, I talked about earlier that a good friend of mine that's a business owner, education is key. So,
absolutely.
Even if you don't have a loan need right now, having those conversations ahead of time and saying, I think this is where I might want to do something down the road, or just want some financial education in general, give me a call. I'd glad to
Yeah.
be glad to talk with somebody. My schedule also is pretty flexible, so I can come to you as well.
Right.
So if it's a situation,
Well, we always like going out and having coffee, don't we?
yeah, absolutely. I have some beers too. So.
I'm
But
down with
what I'm
beer.
saying is, if they can't get off,
Yeah.
from their location, I'd be glad to come and meet them. In fact, I kind of prefer that, just to come out and see the business as well.
And see the operation and see how it's done.
So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll have man, you'll see the video, but I'll have your phone number and everything under there. So if somebody did want to reach out, a lot of people don't like making phone calls. Send a text.
yeah, absolutely. If you put my cell phone on there,
I will. Yeah, absolutely. I'll have it all under
glad-
for you.
shoot me a text. Hey, I saw you and Jason on that podcast, and can we talk?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. That works for me. So, well, we got Larry Barnhill from Heritage Federal. He is their commercial loan. I say ninja.
Yeah.
So, because we're all ninjas in
Yeah,
this
we're
business.
ninjas,
Yeah. So,
It's cool
and
if you say it that way.
yeah, I love it. I love being a ninja. And I try to tell everybody that I'm the commercial real estate ninja guru here.
Yeah.
So, in the area. And, if you do have a business that you're in that you would like to get a valuation and maybe list to sell, or your property that you want to lease out, I'm your guy for that. If you need capital to be able to expand your business, buy equipment, looking for a bigger spot to move into or add some employees, Larry's your guy to reach out to be able to get that taken care of. So, man, I really appreciate you coming out.
Absolutely.
Talking with me today.
It's a pleasure. Had
Yeah.
a blast.
All right. Sounds good. We'll see you next time.